Thank you everyone for joining us for another episode of Brainiacs. Today we're going to talk to you about the lobes of the brain.
This is Bria Washington here, reporting from the Brainiacs, here to talk about your parietal lobe. It's located behind the frontal lobe in the cerebrum, and its job is to receive and process information, both sensory input and the comprehension of both spoken and written language. This includes your sense of touch, your sense of pain and temperature, information processing, and the ability to do math and write. The thalamus relays nerve signals to the parietal lobe in order to distinguish things by touch. There is something known as Gershman's syndrome, which is damage to the left parietal lobe, ouch, and when this happens, you are not able to do math and also distinguish between left and right. Writing will also be hard. This is Bria, your parietal lobe specialist, coming back to you to give you an example of Gershman's syndrome. Here, what you're about to see next is Lulu, who was diagnosed with Gershman's syndrome and has damage to her left parietal lobe. This means she's inhibited from doing math, and she can also not distinguish between left and right. There's also problems with reading and writing and spoken language.
Hey everybody, it's Sierra here, and we're going to be talking about the occipital lobe. This lobe is located in the rearmost portion of the brain. Its function is to process and understand everything that you see through your eyes. So if this is ever injured or impaired, you're not going to be able to process things correctly or understand what you're really looking at. This lobe has two portions, it's the left and the right, and these go hand in hand together. They collaborate, and this helps you understand visual memory, size of things, the colors of things, depth, distance, or visual stimuli. And the visual stimuli would be familiar faces, family, friends, schoolmates, or just objects, familiar objects like my coffee mug. I use this every day. Or just things around the house, objects. The most obvious disease for the occipital lobe is blindness, because if you're blind, obviously your occipital lobe is not working correctly. But also epilepsy has to do with the occipital lobe. There's a specific type of epilepsy, it's called occipital lobe epilepsy, and that's just where it starts in the occipital lobe. So strobe lights, all that, it can trigger it, and then you'll start having seizures with epilepsy. So that's it on the occipital lobe. It's on to you, girls. Back to you.
And welcome to another episode of Brainiacs. Today we're going to discuss the fifth and lesser known lobe of the brain called the insula. The insula, which is Latin for island, resides behind the lateral sulcus of the brain, which is the fissure that separates the parietal and the temporal lobes. It consists of an anterior and a posterior region, and if you zoom in, I'll tell you a little bit more. Right here is the lateral sulcus, and the insula is right here. This is the anterior or front portion, and this is the posterior or back portion. It's separated down the middle by the central sulcus, and it has short and long gyri. Gyri are just these folds in the brain that help increase the surface area. It's surrounded by a circular sulcus, which helps separate it from the other lobes of the brain. The insula is also known as the gustatory lobe or lobe of taste, which helps you perceive taste. It also functions in helping your body comprehend its physiological needs. For example, if you're hungry, then you understand that you need to eat. Or if you're tired, you understand that you need to sleep. People that have suffered either physical trauma or disease to this lobe often experience issues with this sense, which is also called interoception. They don't comprehend that being hungry means that they're supposed to eat, or being tired means that they're supposed to sleep. They think that that is just the normal homeostasis for their body. This lobe also plays a part in anxiety and aphasia, which is the deterioration of language function. These patients can understand single words, but they can't comprehend fluid conversations within a whole sentence. Scientists are still studying this lobe and trying to determine everything it does throughout the brain and its physiology. So stay tuned, and back to you, girls.
Please stay tuned for this public service announcement on concussions.
Brain injuries can happen. Just like that did. Don't let it happen to you.
Hi everyone, I am a resident of BRAINIACSAPP Productions, and I'm here to talk to you about the frontal lobe, its locations, some functions, and some effects trauma has to it.
Frontal lobe can be broken into different parts, including the prefrontal cortex, Wernicke area, and the Nostick area.
Start with the location of the frontal lobe. It is located on the posterior side of your brain. It makes up 2/3 of the brain. It is the last lobe to develop around 25, and it's said research shows that teenagers and adults think differently, their brains function differently, because adults use their prefrontal cortex, which is located in the frontal lobe, as of teenagers who don't.
Phineas Gage is the most famous neuroscience patient, after surviving an accident involving his frontal lobe and a metal rod. His survival suggested a link between brain trauma and personality change. According to some of his friends, he was no longer Gage after the accident.
The second brain injury or trauma that I want to talk about today is aphasia. It usually occurs after a trauma to the frontal cortex. Its effects include difficulty understanding, reading, speaking, or writing. It generally also causes apraxia, which is the difficulty of moving muscles to speak.
I'm so smart. You see how many words I have? See all this? And I have 2 medals. The only thing wrong with me is I have signs of that I have to.
Hello everyone, my name is Kiera, and we're going to be taking a break from the brain lobes to talk about glial cells. So we're going to be talking about the glial cells, and the glial cells that we're going to be talking about in particular are the satellite cells, which are surrounding my face right now. And yes, I'm aware that they're strawberries, but we're going to use this for an example that we're going to get into in just a minute. So now these type of glial cells, they're going to be located in your peripheral nervous system, and what they do is surround the cell body or soma of your neural cells. For example, my face or my head will be the cell body of a neural cell located in your peripheral nervous system. Yeah. And what they do there is provide insulation. These strawberries are kind of cold, so they're providing me with all the insulation that I need because it is kind of hot outside. So, and what else they do is provide nutrients for the neural cell. And clearly, I don't know if you'll be able to tell yet, but they are working with these nutrients. Yes. Anyway, not only do satellite cells do this, but they also participate in the signal processing and transmission of information in the neural cell or in the sensory ganglia, because peripheral nervous cells are, or the neural cell that I'm talking about, which are unicellular neural cells located in the peripheral system, they're going to be only sensory cells you know, like touch. So yeah, they're going to be located there. Now, not only are your muscle cells located in your nervous system, but they're also located in your muscles as well. And what they do there is when you're working out, or you know, you do your reps with the weights and stuff, you're actually sitting there tearing your muscles. And what your satellite cells do is they go to that tear and they repair it, they grow that muscle, they help that muscle grow, because that's what you do when you work out, your muscles grow. And yeah, they restore that muscle, because otherwise you be doing all that work for nothing, and who wants to do that? So be thankful for your satellite cells. Very thankful. Now back to my satellite cells. I mean, look at this glow. Like, my satellite cells are providing me with so much nutrients, because remember, I am a nerve cell. That was meant to happen because we want to see that glow. Like, look at that. Oh my god. These satellite cells are great. Like, wow. I'm gonna keep that there for a little while because they feel so good. Like, this insulation is amazing. Satellite cells are great, guys, and I just wanted to share that with you. So have a great day, and remember, your satellite cells are always there to help. Like, always. Bye.
Hey everyone, I'm Bonnie with the Brainiacs, and I'm here to talk about the temporal lobe. This lobe is located on each side of the brain, left and right, at the temples. The main functions of this lobe are going to be visual memory retention, comprehending language, recognizing faces and objects, and also associating emotion. When major damage is caused, it can impair your ability to distinguish speech and memory, as well as recognizing people or objects, such as when a patient has Alzheimer's. With Alzheimer's, there is cell death in the brain, and that can cause the forgetting of people and memories. Anyways, that's all for the temporal lobe.